Is bigger really better? We're about to find out. Bring out the saw. Oh my gosh. Oh wow, that... Welcome to the Okie Woodsman channel. My name is Joe, and after a job we did a couple weeks ago, I realized I probably need some larger saws. I do have a 395 up here. I'm looking at getting a 592, hopefully shortly, and I kind of want to add back a 660 clone to the collection. Behind me is not a 660 clone. This was a gift to the channel. You know who you are, and thank you very much. These have popped up online, and I gotta say, I'm a little bit intrigued. Let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed, because we don't want to mess around. You guys want to see it, and I do too. I have not taken it out yet. I really like these Husqvarna packaging. They just keep getting better and better with time. This one came with an inner box and an outer box, so there was no problems with protection at all. I'm not exactly sure where these are all going to be available yet. I do have a relationship with TriStar Supply. If you're looking for any other saws, they don't have the 3120, and I don't know if they're going to have this saw. But if you're interested in them, like the 660s and the 372s, like my 372 Pro, those are available at 10% off using the discount code OKIE10. This saw did not come from TriStar. We'll skip all the tidbits and bring out the saw. Oh my gosh. My son is in the shed and his eyes just got real big. Oh my gosh. You just don't realize the scale until you have it in your hands. We got to pull my 395 down and just compare it real quick. Previously, this was my largest CC saw, and now this has arrived. This will be the first saw I run in 404 chain setup. I don't currently have the bar and chain yet because that's shipping from abroad, but this is going to be, like I said, the first 404 setup. I'll probably try it with 3/8, and I might even put an 8-pin sprocket on it, so that way we can bring up some RPM on chain speed, especially for 3/8. That is unreal right there. I just for the heck of it, we got to do the most ridiculous thing on earth. I'm going to put my smallest saw next to the bigger saws. Now that we got that out of the way, that's a ridiculous comparison. Because what this is like, what, 25 cc's, 30 cc's or something? I don't remember. But anyway, this is a tiny little saw. This thing is a lot of tiny saws built into one. Let's set the 395 out of the way and let's take a look at the 3120. I have not looked at this saw yet. Let's take a look. Husqvarna saws have really increased in quality over the years, and, you know, oh wow. Oh wow, that is a really big air cleaner. The scale of this saw, when you see stuff like this, look at the choke. Look at the size of that intake on that carburetor. We've got standard kill switch. I think probably what you see on the 372s and 395s, that kind of layout. If you haven't seen the video yet where I swapped the switch out for one that automatically goes to the run position, make sure you check that out. Gosh dang, this thing is massive. It looks like the filter is the same both sides. I'm going to slide this back on here. Not all clones are created alike. If you get some really cheap ones, the plastic is almost made out of like sugar water or flour water, because you impact it, immediately turns white and fails and breaks immediately. The Husqvarna plastic is definitely a higher quality. We're going to take a dry weight just for the heck of it. Alright, so just over 23 pounds dry. This does have fuel and oil in it, and I'm not going to drain it out, everybody. So we're at 20 pounds with fuel and oil in it. It looks like maybe about half or so. This saw was used heavily by Matt at Boys in the Woods, and my boys purchased it off of him for my Father's Day gift last year. I love this saw. It needs a little bit of work, but I have been starting to chip away at it. I don't know where I'm going to store this thing at. Do you guys want to see this thing start? Let's try it. This, I bet you, takes a ton of fuel, and that is a large, large fuel filter in there. Looks like we've got spring anti-vibe. There is a, this looks like a rubber anti-vibe. I don't know exactly the details on this. There's spring back here. I'm interested to see if this thing's smooth in the cut. We'll find that out another day. We're gonna put just enough fuel to just pop this thing off, but I'm not gonna fill it all the way up because, gosh dang, it'll drain my fuel tank, I bet. Put a little bit of oil in here too. Really, really nice quality magnesium. It's really like a large 395 XP. That's what it looks like. We're just putting enough to test it out. I don't want to fill it up just in case this thing starts leaking oil profusely. I hate cleaning up, especially with this large of a reservoir. Can you imagine that thing just trickling out? This is not going to be a saw that I use constantly. I don't think, at least, unless I find a lot more big work. Now that I got the big saw, and if it works well, I might find a lot more big work. Not everyone has a saw this large. Let's take a look at some controls here. I don't know if this is a manual oil pump or what. I think it might be. I'm going to have to really do some research on this saw to understand what I'm looking at. These bar nuts look tiny on here. You know, this might be the first time the Stihl bar nuts make sense to me, because I've always thought that they're kind of like oversized, but these studs and these nuts look quite small. If you think about it though, if this is sufficient for a saw this size, does the studs on the Stihl saws need to be as big as they are? Share it down below what your thoughts are. Okay, we have an external clutch. This feels like it doesn't have any grease in it. It doesn't look like it's cross-drilled either. I was watching Walt at A-Fleet Command, and I could swear that he said something about this saw having metric and SAE fasteners on it. From my understanding, Husqvarna at one point was transitioning from standard to metric, and this saw may have a mix on it. Will you go ahead and verify that down in the comment section? Let's see if we can do this. Okay, that's stop. Well, this saw feels very strange. It just feels strange. Let me see how this thing feels. Oh my gosh. That's with the decomp not engaged. My kill switch is... Oh, I didn't have this on choke. That's so stupid. Well, it runs. And it oils. I was so excited to start this saw that I forgot to choke it. This is a serious machine. I didn't press the decomp and I could definitely tell. Let me go ahead and try to start it again. Get this in the run position. What do you think, bud? Give it a run, run, run. What do you think, man?
That is so powerful.
It is so powerful. So this is opposite. Yeah, this looks dry. I'm going to go ahead and throw some grease on it. Confirmed it is a 404 sprocket on there right now. So this is 7 splines. Just for comparison's sake, we'll take a look at a 3/8 7-tooth sprocket. Contrary to popular belief, it's not about the amount of teeth you have, it's more about the diameter of the sprocket. Let me show you what I mean. This is a standard 3/8 7 spline sprocket. This is the 404 7 spline sprocket, and you'll notice that the 3/8 is smaller. Now take a look at a 3/8 8-pin sprocket. Look at the significant difference in size just with one spline difference. That's quite a bit different in circumference, and that makes your chain spin faster, but gives you a little less torque or pull in the cut. In order to run this, we're gonna go ahead and put the 3/8 8-pin on here. These need to engage with the oil pump. I believe that's the oil pump setup. It's a little bit different than anything I've ever seen before. Now we ought to be ready to mount a standard 3/8 Husky large mount on here. We're gonna make sure to save that 404 setup because we're gonna be using that later. I have a suspicion this 32-inch bar is going to look tiny on there. Yeah, it looks small. One thing I really like about this over my 395 is that the bar adjuster... Oh, actually I don't. I was just going to say that one of the things I like about this setup over my 395 is that the bar adjuster's in the side, but that's actually not the case. You got a nice magnesium side cover, but you've got a front bar tensioner. It's not the optimal setup, and I really prefer just using a long straight blade screwdriver to adjust it rather than a scrunch. But who's complaining? This saw is going to be a beast. I'm going to push the grease all the way back to that back rotation point there too. Before too long, this thing's going to have plenty of bar oil in it, so we don't need to worry too much about it. I'm not exactly sure what I was experiencing, but I had a problem getting the bar and chain put on here, and so I started questioning, you know, is there something wrong with the bar setup or the chain setup? You know, is there a difference in the width? Because 404, you know, those are generally, they're bigger bar overall, and so I was wondering if I was having clearancing issues or something like that. But I can tell you that I saw no evidence of any rubbing or anything. And so a quick story is that when I initially put the bar and chain on it, I couldn't get the chain to rotate smoothly around it. And so I started trying to rotate the chain by hand. It was a little stiff, used my scrunch, started rolling around. I could hear kind of like a tick or like a so I was like, okay, is there something out around? Like, is the clutch out around or something like that? Well, when I spin it by hand, it doesn't look as if it's out of round, but then I started having a lot of black, oily substance running out the bottom, like super black, almost like used motor oil. Well, I have brand new bar oil in there. And so I'm thinking, okay, so something's rubbing. So I start disassembling it all again, you know, looking for evidence of rubbing or something. So I don't know if it's maybe it's the 32-inch chain that I had on there. I was using it in oak. Oak has a tendency to darken up when it gets metal contact, and so maybe that was just fines coming out of the chain. I'm not exactly sure, but that still doesn't explain the tick, 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 and I'm not seeing any like heat on the brake band or anything like that, but I can show you what I have discovered about the brake band. This brake band wants to sit cocked a little bit once you engage and disengage it, and I feel as if, let me see, maybe it's kind of gone away now that I've kind of run it a little bit. And I'm telling you, there's no evidence of this grinding on anything. This chain is a little bit tight right now. Let me loosen it up. Yeah, the bar oil that's running out of here now has cleared up, so I think it must have been just something running out, but that doesn't make... I'm probably overthinking it, everybody. That's what I'm guessing. Yeah, I don't hear it now. It just seemed as if it wanted to rub, but like I said, after I sat it out there and ran it around a little bit more, maybe what happened is the chain just got good and cleared out, and now I've got clearer bar oil coming out of the saw. And let me tell you, this thing does oil this 32-inch bar no problem at all. Please remember, I'm not a chainsaw mechanic, but I'm also not completely new to all of this, and I have like a tinkering type mindset, and this one just kind of took me aback. The bar, I'd really like that chain to move a little bit more smoothly on there, but you know, it is a 32-inch bar, so there is a lot of drag going around there. It just was kind of alarming when I saw all that black pouring out the bottom of the saw, and I was able to hear it. I don't want to overheat anything, but I'm not seeing any signs of that. The saw starts very easily. I'm not having to use the decomp. I'm actually pretty impressed with that. It certainly does have some compression, and you know, the saw is going to be breaking in. You will definitely be seeing more of this later on, and I'm really excited to get a longer bar with 404 on it. And we'll see if that rides around the bar any better. I do want to at some point get this into some wood, but I need to find some wood sufficiently sized in order to do that. It doesn't make any sense to make cuts in, you know, 15, 20-inch wood with this saw. If you want to see it run, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and make sure you check out all my other content. Thanks for watching the Okie Woodsman channel, and we will see you on the next one.